Shalom Aleichem, sweetest friends. We are continuing our previous shir on the topic of Ein Navi Rashai Lichadesh Davar Me'ata. We saw the Gemara in Maseches Tmura, where we had the question, they've forgotten halachas in the time of Moshe, B'me'av Lo Shel Moshe, and then they asked Yoshua to remind them, and then he said Lo B'Shemayim, and they asked Elazar and Pinchas, and they said Ein Navi Rashai Lichadesh Davar Me'ata, and we wanted to know what the different answers were. So we made a fundamental chiluk between Yoshua and Elazar and Pinchas. Yoshua, there's a chalos shem miyuchad of Mesiras Torah Sheba'al Peh, and so the Rambam says, and it's tzibur that he should pass on the Torah Sheba'al Peh. So what Yoshua was asking was, can you now reveal to me this Torah as part of the Mesorah, as part of me being Moser Torah Sheba'al Peh? And on that they told him, sorry, lo b'shamayim. It doesn't work. As part of the it's not going to be part of the Mesorah's Torah Sheba'al Peh. So we can't answer you. And when Yoshua and Elazar and Pinchas were asking, they were Makabel, but they didn't have a special Chalos Din Mesira as being part of the Mamshichei HaMesorah, as Yoshua did. They didn't have that special status. They were just Makablim, and therefore, they gave a different answer. Their answer was not Lo B'Shamayim, because Lo B'Shamayim is saying that you cannot be Mevarer the Mesorah based on Shamayim. Can't be Mevarer Mesorah is based on Shamayim. But what about just telling us the etzem mitzvahs without being mevar the mitzvahs? So the answer is Eila mitzvahs shein avar shel chadish davar. No, you can't even add on to the corpus of what was already taught. Once it was taught Eila mitzvahs, nothing else is going to be mitzvahs. So telling you is not going to help. It's not going to be a mitzvah. Eila mitzvahs and not anything else. So that explains the two different answers, and that's in a nutshell what we learned last time, and we'll continue now. The Rambam Paskins in Yisodei HaTorah, Perek Tes, Halacha Aleph, that it's a davar bar, mefurish b'Torah, she mitzvah medis la'olam lo me'olamim. Ein lo shina v'lo giron v'lo tesev shenamar lo b'shamayim. Halamata shein avar shel echadish davar me'ata. And he writes in Halacha Dalet, O shamar b'din b'dini HaTorah, shem tziv lo shadin kachu, v'halach divrei plonei reis Navi sheker v'yochanek, etc. Shrei b'lahachish HaTorah shenamar lo b'shamayim. The Rambam says that the mitzvahs are forever, and they're not added on to, they're not subtracted from. As it says, Lo B'Shamayim, and from that we learn that a Navi is not allowed to be Machadish Davar. And the Rambam said in Halacha Dalid, that if he says that I was commanded a certain way, and the Halacha is a certain way, he's a Navi Sheker, and he should be strangled, Yuchanik. Because being Makish the Torah that says Lo B'Shamayim. So like a Mishnah asks, what's Pshat in the Rambam? The Rambam says, Lo B'Shamayim, and this teaches us, She'en Avar Shel Chadish Davar Me'ata. No, the Gemara learns it from Eila Mitzvahs, not from Lo B'Shamayim. So it's the Rambam grafting the two together. So Lechem Mishnah says, because it's Mevar more. And Lo B'Shamayim really teaches us that in Shamayim they can't change the Torah. Eila Mitzvahs is less clear about it. So if Lo B'Shamayim is more clear, then what is the Gemara talking about? Why does the Gemara bring Eila Mitzvahs? Why does the Gemara bring Lo B'Shamayim? So if Ezrachi Shlita and his Berchas Mordechai and Simon Chaf answers as follows. That the Rambam is trying to figure out who's a Navi Sheker. Who's a Navi Sheker? How do we know that he's a Navi Sheker? We see that a Basko comes out like Ploni. Halachic Rebbe laws like the Mermam Tzia Nuntes. See, right, we're supposed to see this as an Isayon, and we're not supposed to follow it. But how do we know he's a Navi Sheker? Maybe he really got the Nevuah that this is the Halacha. So how did he get Chenek? So the answer is that when you have Achrazim and a Shamayim, when you have a Baskol, that's telling us Shamayim's opinion. What the Navi is doing is, the Navi is telling us how we have to act. And the Navi is telling us that there's a Chisaron in Divrei Torah, a Perish in Divrei Torah that we didn't know about, that he's adding, he's subtracting. And we have to act that way. So when we have this Yisod of the Isur L'Chadish Davar Me'ata that was said in Eila Mitzvahs, so we learn these are the mitzvahs and nothing else. So when the Navi comes and he's Misnabe on new mitzvahs, you're right, they don't have a Shem mitzvahs, but maybe he's not a Navi Sheker. How do we know he's lying? Maybe he was really told this mitzvah, you're right, it's not going to be included in mitzvahs. Maybe he was really told this mitzvah that we're supposed to see it as Nisayon, we're not supposed to include it in the mitzvahs. But maybe he was really told what he was told. What's the rise in Navi Sheker? Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe he really did get this nevuah. Says the Rambam says, you know what the raya that he's a shakran is? Lo b'shamayim, because God doesn't do that. God doesn't tell us to rely on his piskei din. So from Elam mitzvahs, what do we learn? That these are the mitzvahs and no others. It's usher to say they're new mitzvahs. But how do we know he's being mechadesh davar? That's lo b'shamayim. God doesn't do that. God doesn't tell us to add on new mitzvahs and subtract. So the Gemara is telling us, is he allowed to be mechadesh a mitzvah? Elam mitzvahs, no. It's not going to be considered a mitzvah. Any ashlama, any kviyas halacha, any perish. What's not included in the Moshe and Elam mitzvahs, these are the mitzvahs, nothing else that you're not allowed to do. The Rambam's trying to figure out if he's a Navi Sheker. So besides the Yisr, we need a proof that he's a Shakran, that he really wasn't told this. And the answer is Lo b'shamayim. God doesn't do that. God doesn't tell us to accept halacha l'maisa. There might be baskols, but the essence of nevuah is that you have to act this way, and God won't tell us to act this way. So Lo b'shamayim is a raya that he's a Shakran. So you really need both. You need Elam mitzvahs tell you now that add on to the mitzvah, not considered a mitzvah, it's added on to the corpus of mitzvahs that we got from Moshe. Nothing else after that. And Lo b'shamayim proves he's a shakran if he tells us that he was told that we have to add on to the mitzvahs. And now it would appear more. It says Rav Ezrachi, the cave and the hashishelo sam shel Pinchas Elazar v'Shmuel. Since the Shilas, they're asking to restore the halachas, that's Lichadesh badavar. And even if it's mizgala to them, it's not considered included in Elam mitzvahs, because these are not included in the mitzvahs that Moshe was giving over to Yoshua. So, Memela bar shim ach yachzor hagilu v'yikolel b'chlal atzivu v'amesira. If the Gilui comes back and is included in the Mesira, that's not a problem with Elam mitzvahs. Elam mitzvahs is what's outside of the Mesira. What's inside, what's part and parcel, the Mesira is not an issue of Elam mitzvahs. Nafkamina, when the Shiracha wasn't b'mei Evlo Shel Moshe, because Evlo Shel Moshe is a nituk bikura Mesira. But rather, it's afterwards, b'hamshech hadoros. Shebe'ofen zeh, when there's a gilui of the etzem mitzvah halacha, and there's no lo b'shamayim, because the Nevi'im are the ones who are making the takana to act this way. And shamayim is just megala what the tzura of the mitzvah was, b'shaita. So in Shamayim, they're telling us what the tzura was. And now the Navi is telling us to follow that. And it's not the nituk mikra misora, because that's only what was forgotten in the time of Moshe. But not after. So then the takana to act this way is not only because of their takana, it's because that's part of the Mesira. It's included in Elam mitzvahs. And it's not included in Lichadesh badavar. So that's the difference between the takana of the tzoifim of Mansepach, like we learned in the previous shir. The Osios Sophios. Or the takana is based in of Yavitz, Lin Shir Shalosh, and what the shir, how much you have to be over on to do what the shir is to get an onesh. They've seen that and what we're asked to Pinchas, Elazar, and Shmuel. Pinchas and Shmuel, even if they find out the mitzvahs, it's still going to be included in the Isser of Lichadesh, because it's not in Elam mitzvahs, because the Shircha was menatik them from the Mesira to Yoshua. This Shircha, b'mei Evil Shal Moshe, is a nituk in the Etzem Mesira to Yoshua, and it's commandment to pass it on. And Memela, that's including Elam mitzvahs v'lo acheros. She'ein elav Rashai Lichadesh. Because there was a detachment of the Etzem Mesira from Moshe to Yoshua. It was Nishkach Me'avol Shel Moshe. So that they can't do. There we don't say Shachum v'chazru v'yastum. But Mansepach and Shum Shel Onshim, That's included in Eila Mitzvahs. So that's Beseder. There we can say, Shachum b'chazru v'yistum. What's Pshat v'yistum? It should say chazru v'nizkaru. So the emphasis is, they were choizer ala yisod shayi b'shaito b'eila mitzvahs, as it was given to Yoshua. So that explains some Taritz the Kash we asked in the previous year. Why in the Gemara in Megillah and Yuma did they say Shacham b'chazru v'yistum and Tzpseder? We have a problem with Eila mitzvahs, but in Tamura, we say Eila mitzvahs, we don't say Shacham b'chazru v'yistum. Pshat is that you can only say Shacham b'chazru v'yistum if there wasn't a nituk, there wasn't an attachment, that's a Masirah. It's just restoring the lost Masorah that wasn't attached Meikara. And there you can say Shacham b'chazru v'yistum, but in the time of what was Nishkach Bevel Shal Moshe, there we say Eila mitzvahs, where you add on, there's a nituk in the Etzem Masirah. So what you add on won't be part of the mitzvahs. Eila mitzvahs and not what was added on after the Etzem Masirah was broken. The Etzem Masirah to Yoshua was broken. That you can't add on to. Now we learn in Chulin, Kuf Amid Beis, B'sinai ne'amar el shenichtav b'makom, it's Machlekes Rashi al Atar, and the Parish of Mishnayos. Rashi says, the mitzvahs that were mentioned in the Torah before Sinai, the Fisei Ma'oros, chronologically, were not written, and they weren't commanded b'shaitan. That's why it says in the B'sinai ne'amar el shenichtav b'makom. They were only written afterwards by Moshe. And not b'shaitan. The Rambam in the Parish of Mishnayos explains that even if they were commanded, the Fnei Sinai b'shaitam, but nevertheless, Kol Ma'ashanu Marchikam Otzim Hayom, we're only doing it because Moshe was commanded at Sinai. In Gid HaNashe, famously, the Rambam says we don't do Gid HaNashe because Yaakov Avinu was commanded, because Moshe was commanded. So this is all included in the Jerusha and Yalfus and Isra of Eila Mitzvahs. What's not included in Eila Mitzvahs is not a mitzvah, like the Rambam says. Only the Taryag mitzvahs that were given to Moshe at Sinai, those are the mitzvahs. And therefore, any mitzvah, whether we are mitzvah before Sinai or after Sinai, is included in Lichadesh, and that's not a mitzvah. What was before Sinai wasn't a mitzvah, what was after Sinai is not a mitzvah. Only what's at Sinai. Could be they wrote it down at the time. What's mechayev us is only what God commanded Moshe at Sinai. Eila mitzvahs, nothing else. Not before, now it was before, now it was after. And since the Kodesh Eila, Pinchas and Elazar and Shmuel was coming to find out what was the Etzem HaMitzvah, like we said in the previous year, it wasn't coming to restore it to be part of the Masirah. Because they can, because there was any tuk in the Etzem HaMasirah. Therefore, they were answered, Eila mitzvahs, ein navi Rashai Lichadesh davar. Only what's part of the Masirah at Sinai is mitzvahs, but what you get afterwards doesn't count. You lost the Masorah. So like we said, Yoshua wanted to restore the Masirah that he was given. And he was told, Lo b'shamayim, we don't do that. Elazar and Pinchas wanted to find out what the mitzvahs were. Oh, you want to know what the mitzvahs are? No, Eila mitzvahs is not going to help you. Only what was given as part of the Masorah are mitzvahs, and not what you're given afterwards. So that explains the Gemara in Tamura. And we understand the difference in the Gemara in Tamura and the other two Gemaras in Megillah and Yuma, why there it says Shacham b'chazru v'yastum. Because that's not an nituk in the Etzem HaMasirah, and this is what Elazar and Pinchas were asking, and Shmuel, because that was what was forgotten at the time of Moshe. And therefore they were told, Eila mitzvah shein Rashai Lichadesh davar, and we don't say shachar b'chaz v'yastum. What was forgotten afterwards, that's now going to be included in Eila mitzvahs, because the Etzem Masir wasn't forgotten. And therefore shiurim shel onshim and mansipach, that could be shachar b'chaz v'yastum. Medvarim im nefloim mamish. We also learned that how you know he's a Navi Sheker. That's why the Rambam brings Lo B'Shamaymi. You know he's a Navi Sheker because Kadosh Baruch Hu isn't Mechadesh mitzvahs afterwards. So Rai is a Navi Sheker if he says he got a nevuah to add on mitzvahs to tell us to act differently. Can't be Lo B'Shamaymi. Gemara is just telling us why that it's usher. The Rambam is telling us how we know he's a Navi Sheker. So the Navi says, it's not going to be included in the mitzvah, in the corpus of mitzvahs. The Rambam is telling us it is chakra. Beautiful. So we should be zoich a little more ulamid lishma b'las. There's so much more to say in this sugya hafle b'fele. I hope we get to it. B'siyat d'shmai b'ritzos Hashem darkeinu. Amen v'amen. Shalom, shalom, sweetest, most beloved friends.